Hiya. I thought I'd just check in and let you know how I got on the day after my first sleepover by myself. Well, it went well. I've got to say, do you know what? I'm going to say the name of the place. It was I think it's pronounced the Trehellis. I think it's the Trehellis Country Hotel and Restaurant, or it could just be the Trehellis Hotel and Restaurant in Bodmin. And I couldn't recommend it enough. It was really, really nice. And the food was lovely. Breakfast was really nice. You had a choice of, there was, oh, what do you call it? Oh, it's not buffet. Can't think of the word. You know, where they have a table out and you've got yoghurt and muesli and, well, you know, your choice of cereals, and there's fruit and toast and things like that. There's a name for it. I can't think what it is. And then there was a full English breakfast and a vegetarian breakfast as well. And like I say, the food was really nice. I've got to say though, I could have done without the conversation going on. My soup friend from the table next to me, he was down at breakfast with his wife and they were sitting next to another couple, and their conversation, not that I wanted to eavesdrop, but it was a very, very quiet breakfast room. It was in a conservatory and there was those four and there was me. And so, you know, as hard as you might try not to listen to somebody else's conversation, if they're talking loudly and there's only you 5 people in the room, you're going to hear what they're saying. And their conversation just turned into a who's richer competition. One person said he collected, it was like some really expensive guns, which impressed the other gentleman, who then went on to say how he owned a Morgan car and that was really expensive. And they kind of batted off each other, so one had this but the other one had that, and then the other one had this, oh but the other one had that, and the wives hardly spoke, only to kind of confirm that yes, their husbands did have that or they did have this. Then it got onto holiday homes, and then it got onto how many times they come down to Cornwall to stay over throughout the year, and where they stay, and how many family come with them, and it was just like a one-upmanship the entire time. But the point that made me actually leave the table and just go back to my room was when they were talking about where they normally stay, or where their holiday home is or whatever, and how close it is to the sea or to the coast. And then it went on to the weather, because we've been having some bad weather recently. And they were saying about how the tourists, obviously not them, because they're not tourists, because they've got like holiday homes or whatever down there. The real tourists that, you know, just don't know the area and don't know what they're doing, how they risk their lives by going too close to the coast when the weather's bad, and how, you know, they're at risk of getting whisked out to sea. And one gentleman was saying how he'd heard that just that week somebody had been washed out to sea and had drowned. And straight away the other man said, oh yes, we actually watched a couple drown. They were killed, and we watched that right from our kitchen window. And the other man went, oh, you win then, so you're closer to the sea. And I just wanted to run up and say, can you hear yourselves? People have lost their lives, but you're still seeing it as a competition. Like, I saw, you know, one person killed. Oh no, I saw 2. And not only did I see 2, but I actually seen it from my holiday home, which is closer to the sea than you are. And it just made me sick. So I just thought, best go and sit in my room before I do something I regret, which isn't like, well no, I do lots of things that I regret, but I'm not confrontational, and I'm certainly not somebody who would go up to somebody, but I just really felt appalled by their conversation that they were having so loudly. Anyway, packed up, ready to go, and got a taxi into town. And that was really expensive. I don't know if they heard the accent and just whacked it up a little bit, but it was really dear. And I thought, well, I had about an hour and a half before I needed to get to, well, I keep saying it's a course, it was more of an information open day. I had about an hour and a half before I needed to get there, and I thought, well, I'm not paying a taxi again, I'm going to walk the 20 minutes with the suitcase to where I needed to be. But in the meantime, I'll have a coffee in Costa, because they've got the internet and it should be okay. Although if for some reason I couldn't seem to connect the computer. So anyway, I'm sitting in the window and I'm sort of messing around with my computer, and as I look up, there's a man standing right in front of me. Now, just so you can understand what kind of person I attract, I'm well known for attracting life's characters to me wherever I go. So it must be whenever, I must have a beacon that comes out that attracts everybody. But so far on the trip, I hadn't attracted one person at all, and like even family members were saying to me before I went, they were just laughing, don't forget to save that seat for, you know, your latest friend and on the train. But no, it was great, you know, it didn't attract anybody, and I was thinking, this is the first time in ages. So yeah, no, short-lived, because he's standing outside, and I mean, my hair's bonkers, his hair was crazy. I'd say he was in his 60s, beautiful blue eyes, but he looked like he lived. And he just, so like I said, I looked up and he was just standing right outside the window looking at me, and he smiled, so I smiled back and carried on with what I was doing. And then I noticed him walk away, and then next thing I heard like somebody knocking, and I didn't take any notice, and it became more persistent. And I looked up again, and he was sitting right outside the window. He turned the chair around, was literally facing me on the other side of the window, and I just kind of went, I just looked away, and I was thinking, oh God. I was thinking, don't make eye contact. Just don't. And I know that's probably really unfriendly to do, but I'm in a strange place. I don't really know anybody or anywhere, and I've been in some tricky situations in the past, and as friendly as I am, I was all alone, and I just thought, I'm not tempting fate this time. So I kind of just looked away, and after a few minutes he got up and he walked away, and but he came back and just stood there this time, just stood looking in, you know, when you can feel somebody looking. And I thought, I'm just not even looking, I'm not looking up. And do you know what, it crossed my mind to buy him a coffee or something, and I was thinking, I'm just going to send out the wrong signal here, so I just ignored it. It was getting closer to when I had to leave as well. So the next time we went, I'd packed up the computer and I was giving it one of these outside the shop window. I was like, and I like made a mad dash for it. It was like looking over my shoulder the whole way. Went up through town, and I was still looking for this guy, but I noticed there was another man walking up behind me. And I'm paranoid by now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's following me, I'm being followed. Is it like a different person? And I thought, cross the road, we'll see. So I crossed over the road, and he crossed over, and I thought, well, you know, it's a coincidence, he might have friends, or he might be going into a shop there or something. And I crossed back over to the other side, and then he crossed over as well, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous. And I what it must have looked like. I crossed over again, and he crossed over. He was quite a way away though, and I just thought, oh my goodness. So I got on, made a big thing about getting on the phone to my husband on the mobile, and I was saying to him, you just stay on the phone with me for a little bit, because we were getting out of town now, and it was just kind of pubs and like a few houses, and so I felt really nervous. So he was saying to me, stay near the people's houses. If you feel really nervous, like knock on somebody's door. And I'm thinking, well, no, it'd be a case of out of the frying pan into the fire. So he stayed on the phone with me for a little bit. There's only twice in my life that I've ever felt so nervous. And I know it sounds really dramatic, but I mean, you know, I used to go through Liverpool town centre after going out to a nightclub, you know, like 3 in the morning, I'd be by myself sometimes. Wasn't bothered. Never nervous, never scared, not bothered in the slightest. And the only other times I've ever felt that scared was once was we had a romantic break in Rome, and it was just beautiful, and that's where I proposed to Andrew under one of the arches of the Colosseum. And oh god, that's another story altogether. But anyway, he ended up almost having a fight with the gladiator, who actually pulled his wooden sword on him. Oh dear, only me. Anyway, but we were on the outskirts. We arrived late, didn't really know the place, and we wanted to go and get some water and some, like, you know, bits and bobs before we settled in for the night. And we went out, and you know, like, even Andrew felt quite intimidated. There was groups of youths and young men, and which again wouldn't normally bother either of us, but you know when somewhere's just got that, there's just something in the air, there's just something that doesn't feel right. But I mean, Rome was amazing. I think it just happened to be that night, maybe, and the fact that where we were, and we were out of, like, maybe not out of town, but you know, like on the edges a little bit. But yeah, that was, I felt quite intimidated then. And the only other time was in one of my favourite places, Canada, and it was near a road called Hastings Road in, can't remember if it's Vancouver or Victoria, sorry, can't remember, but there's a road called Hastings Road, and it's a really long road. And it was really sad because here's us on honeymoon, and this whole road just seemed to be like full of derelict houses and homeless people. I've never seen any that amount of homeless people in my entire life, and I just felt guilty for being on honeymoon there, and they didn't have a roof over their heads, and it was a really long road, and it was surrounded by really lovely places, and I just remember crying and wondering why, you know, they're empty, the houses are empty. You know, would it do any harm if they just were given them to live in? Couldn't something not be done? Anyway, not that night. Another night we went for a stroll, and we took a wrong turn and ended up in this area, and it wasn't dark or anything, but I felt very, very nervous, and yeah, we like made a hasty retreat as well as soon as we found our way back, and we went back to the hotel. But that was they're the only 2 times in my whole life I've ever felt nervous, until this trip where the guy was following me up the road. And so anyway, I saw a police lady ahead, so I said goodbye to my husband, said I'd text him a bit later on to make sure, let him know I was okay. And I went and stood by the police lady and pretended I was talking to her. I mean, well, I said hello, that was about it. And when I turned round, the man had stopped, and then he went back into town. So maybe I wasn't being suspicious, or maybe he was a bit. No, I don't mean to, you know, like, maybe he was like up to no good, I don't know. But anyway, he went back, and I've never walked so fast to my course either. And somebody gave me a bum steer. Here's me with my suitcases. Apparently there's 2 ways to go to where I was going. It was like, I could have gone down like a slight hill and like round, or I could have gone down like 1,000,000 steps. And the person I stopped to ask sent me down the steps, so I think they were just having a laugh. But once I got there, it was great. Everybody was super friendly, and I learnt a lot as well, and felt really enthused, to the point of, even if I don't end up doing this course through my present employer, I'm going to look into seeing if, when everything's settled down, I'm going to look into seeing if I can afford to pay for it myself, because I just think it benefits so many children and so many schools and so many parents. I just feel like I can't afford not to do it, so yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, that's it really. I just wanted to give you a quick catch up. Oh wait, after that, made my way down to the train station. It was delayed again, but the journey back was lovely. It wasn't as nice as during the day, because obviously I went back in the evening, so it was pretty dark, so didn't see an awful lot, but it was It was really nice. Different type of journey though, because I don't know if it's because it was in the evening, but there were certainly more drunks on the platform, and people talking to themselves and shouting at people who weren't there. So it was a bit more nerve-wracking, I'd say, on the way back. And but apart from that, it was like a pretty good journey. Oh well, except for the fact that the train was delayed, which had a knock-on effect for the next train. Now, bear in mind, like, I was one of the first people off our train, standing at the door ready for them to open, because the man had warned us that the other train was waiting already. And I shot out. Literally, the lift was just there. It's like up and over and down again. And I literally just got on. And they shut the doors, and I was thinking, well, that's not fair. What about all the elderly people or disabled people who wouldn't be able to get over there as quick? I just thought, it's not our fault that the train was delayed. Anyway, before I go off on a tangent again, I got home safely. It was really nice to be home, and I really appreciated being home with my family. So, and I miss my boys. So yeah, and I would probably do it again. I probably would still be nervous again, but I would go away and sleep away from home again. She said 44, you'd think I was 10. Alright, bye for now.